Hey, on my Travel Wins podcast, I'm lucky to have Morgan Weske. Morgan is a pro roller skater. Don't get to say that too often. A dancer, a choreographer, does stunt work, acting, editing. I like the editing part. How are you today, Morgan?
Hey, Pete. I'm doing just great. Thanks for having me.
That's excellent. This is a little different because I actually know you.
Exactly.
So this will be exciting. I'm so excited to talk to you because there aren't a lot of people making money off roller skating, for one.
Right.
I mean, there's, a handful, I would think. Maybe 2 handfuls.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Maybe
you're
two.
doing the choreography for dancing. You're helping out kids. What exactly are you all doing? Because you got a lot going on.
Yeah. You practically summed it up there. But yeah, if I, that's it. I guess we're done.
Okay. And I'll talk to you later.
Right. But yeah, I am originally from Tennessee, and I moved out to Los Angeles a little over 5 years ago in hopes to become a professional backup dancer. Firstly, to be a professional backup dancer. And I have been a dance teacher since the age of 19. I immediately started choreographing a lot when I was on the cheerleading team as a kid and on the dance team in high school. Creating movement and dance routines just came so natural for me. And even right after high school, I got offered a lot of teaching jobs. And so that just kind of naturally just fell in my lap. I was just always naturally a dancer. And so, yeah, I was living in Chattanooga and, working a 9 to 5, teaching once a week, taking classes twice a week. And I just realized, you know what? I want to see if I could do this professionally. Why not? I wasn't married, no kids, nothing holding me down. So I was like, okay, why not just try to move to LA and do this? And if it doesn't work, I'm move back, you know? So I set a date and I moved. I came out here and I didn't know where to start. So I was like, okay, I don't know how to get into the industry. So I'm just going to go to these world-renowned dance studios where all the professional choreographers teach. So I started going to Debbie Reynolds a lot, and I was at work study, and I trained day in and day out. And that's how I started getting into the industry, because I would find out about dance auditions and how to get an agent and how to create a dance reel and stuff like that. And then I started joining a couple of different dance companies and dance crews, and those companies and crews started booking me on huge music videos and live shows and performances with big artists. It was really, really fun. How I got into roller skating is very interesting. So I was dancing a lot and also choreographing. I was already choreographing for Warner Brother Records and a few music videos like that. But the roller skating part is very interesting. So the dance industry, just like acting, is so competitive that it can really be cutthroat and really get depressing at times, because you're always comparing yourself and you're always doing auditions and you're always competing. You have to have a certain, very specific look to get casted for something. And so I was still having to bartend, because that was the only kind of job I could do to have the kind of amount of time and flexibility to pursue my dance and choreography career. But I was getting so distraught because of the competition and everything, and I started getting really depressed. I got really depressed in 2016, and I just didn't want to get out of bed, and to the point where I didn't want to go train and take class anymore. I didn't care about going to auditions. I didn't care about what I looked like. I just quit caring. So I decided to pick up an old hobby of roller skating. So I drove down to Venice Beach on a weekend, and I had my rollerblades at the time, and I discovered a group of the most eccentric roller skaters dance skating right off the beach in this outdoor roller rink area, and I just fell in love. I was like, oh my God, this is everything I've ever wanted. Because I would see commercials and movies as a kid of people skating by the beach and people wearing whatever they want, looking however they want. It was so much freedom. And I was so excited. And for once in a while, through the depression I was going through from all the competition and everything from the dance world, I felt bliss again, and I felt happiness again. And it was the best feeling ever. So I noticed that they were skating every weekend. So I started driving down to Venice from North Hollywood. It was about an hour drive to get there.
Say, that's
and
a drive.
Another 30 minutes parking. To just go skate on the weekends. But then I started beating myself up, because I was like, Morgan, this is a waste of time. You should be in the studio training as a dancer, training. But then the thought of training in the studio made me even more distraught. And the only thing that made me happy was skating. So I was like, well, this isn't very productive, but at least this makes me happy. And I started falling so in love with skating, doing it all the time. I would even drive down to Venice on the weekdays, like 4 days a week, just to go skate by the beach.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I know the feeling.
come to find out, I started getting asked to be in commercials and music videos. I booked my first huge Union National commercial for an app called Zelle that you might have heard about. It's kind of like Venmo and PayPal.
Okay.
Just from roller skating out there. And then it started becoming like a trickling effect. And next thing you know, I was able to quit my bartending job because I was starting to make good enough money just roller skating full time. And that doesn't mean I don't dance anymore and I don't choreograph. I do still do that, but not nearly at the multitude that I roller skate.
Well,
Sorry, that was long-winded, but I hope that answered your question.
No, heck yeah. I love the answer. You know, if people have never been on an audition or whatever, it's a surreal thing. I did it in my mid-20s. And, you know, I would take off work to go to an audition. You walk in the room, they go, next. And you're like, hold on. I just drove an hour and a half, took off work. You gave me 4 seconds.
Exactly.
And you told me to leave. I was like, this is not for me.
Heart-wrenching.
Yeah. And then...
It's hard.
I just... not my personality. I took it personal. And it wasn't.
Exactly.
You know,
it's so easy to. Everybody does. And you have to consistently remind yourself not to compare yourself to anyone. But yeah, it's very cutthroat. And I just learned, like, I've gotten to the point where I have been casted for so many sizzle reels, potential reality shows, Netflix shows, movies, and to the point where it's like you get 1 out of 100. So now when I hear some big news, and I've heard some big news, I just take it like a grain of salt because I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll believe it when I sign a contract.
Yeah. And
a lot of people do get distraught and they go back home to like Kansas, Utah, Tennessee, Florida, because they feel like they don't have a chance. And what roller skating has did for me compared to dancing, I would say dance for me was like doing outbound sales. You get the phone, you call until someone bites. Roller skating, however, was like inbound sales. I got inbound calls.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have to pitch myself to people. People came to me and wanted to book me. And that was the best feeling. I mean, anytime you get inbound sales in return to outbound sales, that feels fantastic. Like I didn't have to try to look as super edgy look to dance for like Janet or Chris Brown. Instead, I could be Morgan Weske, not have to cover up my tattoos, could wear whatever I want, be myself. People wanted that. And man, that was a self-esteem boost. And overall, like I still love dancing and I still do it. I don't pursue it as hard. I'd rather have things come to me. And in order to do that, I realized that it's not always about trying hard. It's kind of where you find the peace and solitude is really just giving up. And not giving up, that's a strong word. I guess the English language is so limiting. I would say it's kind of just letting go.
Yeah.
Instead of trying so hard and knocking at so many doors and chasing the butterfly, it's just kind of stopping and letting the butterfly come and sit on your shoulder. And when I was skating every weekend, I was mad at myself because I thought I was being unproductive because I should have been in a dance studio training. However, that was the most productive thing I did, was following my bliss and doing something that excited me, made me happy, gave me clarity. Because once I found happiness, that happiness kind of started spreading over every area of my life. And I started reaping the benefits of just feeling happy.
Totally agree. I'm going through a really similar thing with my podcast, where this week I just had a professional beach volleyball player asked to be a guest on my show.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, usually I'm asking, but okay, you know.
Uh-huh.
And
right.
I think it and I totally agree with you because I'm so relaxed with it. Like if someone says no to me on the podcast, or doesn't reply, which is most of the cases, it doesn't bother me because it's not the end of the world for me.
Right. And someone is going to come asking.
So because I'm relaxed,
the fruit,
yeah. Well, because I'm relaxed about it, it's kind of like I look at it like it's like dating, in the sense of when you're not looking is when you find it. When you're looking real hard, you never,
Oh my God, so true.
Right? I mean,
oh yeah, all the time.
It's like all of a sudden something just drops in. You're like, I wasn't even really looking. But okay.
It's so funny that you say that because I was thinking about that the other day about dating, because whenever I'm like working out really hard and eating really healthy and trying to look my sexiest, I feel like I don't find anyone. It's like everyone's repulsed by me.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like when I just kind of give up in a sense. Who cares what I look like? I'm not going to wear makeup, or I'm going to go to the store in my onesie pajamas, is when I find somebody.
Yeah.
Like every time, like my ex-boyfriend, I had no makeup on. I got done skating. I was sweaty and nasty, and whenever you just don't try, right?
Just like, I think with your skating, it's so true. And I didn't even realize it, but that's what I mentioned. There's got to be only a couple handfuls of people that could actually, I mean, a lot of actors and actresses will say they skate, roller skate or inline skate on their resume, but they don't really skate. You really skate.
Right.
So.
Oh, yeah, that happens. I go to auditions, and there's so many actors who will pretend to be skaters. Actors will go to every audition. Oh, yeah, I'm a professional snowboarder. Yeah, I'm a professional roller skater. And they'll, come in and they'll buy, the really cheap $50 plastic skates from Target.
Yeah. And
it's so funny because I see that all the time. Like, actors will pretend to be anything. I mean, That's what they do. They're actors, right? But yeah, when it comes to doing it professionally, there's more than you know. But, there's actually, my friend Paola, she's from Italy, and she travels and performs with Cirque du Soleil. And she has an amazing job. And then I know a lot of professional skaters in Vegas that are in regular shows, and they do, stunt work together where, the guy is spinning the girl upside down by her ankles. And then there's a few of us here in LA called LA Road Girls, and we do a lot of live shows, corporate events, birthday parties, lots of music videos, like Alicia Keys. I'm trying to think of everybody. Black Eyed Peas. A show with Kevin Hart. He does Laugh Out Loud, I think. And then so many.
It's out there,
Michelle, DJ Premier, Gwen Stefani, VMAs. Tons of shows like that. But yeah, there's not too many of us. And it's not only do you have to have, a good skill set, but performing is huge. And I see so many great skaters have so many skills, but they don't have a presence on camera or on stage. Or they're shy and they don't know how to engage with the crowd. So that is one of the biggest components is being a performer.
Well, I think your background as being a dancer and a cheerleader, you actually knew how to take direction.
Right.
That's
very true.
Whereas, as a director or somebody that's hiring you to do something, they want to be able to tell you one thing, maybe you have to improve it a little bit, but basically just do what they tell you to do.
Take direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
true.
Your background definitely leads to that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Because I was going to ask you, how has the quarantine affected you? The lockdown and all that.
Yeah, for sure. So quarantine at first hit me kind of hard. I have packed everything up in my storage because I was going to be traveling all this year. There's a really huge artist that I was supposed to travel all over Europe with this year. I won't necessarily say who, but everybody definitely knows who she is. And I was going to be backup dancing and on stage with this major artist record label. So quarantine kind of postponed that, of course. And then I was supposed to be in Tennessee teaching workshops, and I just got back from Vegas performing for all week for a trade show. So I had just put all my stuff in storage because I knew I was going to be performing all this year. Another thing that I can definitely mention, the Olympics was supposed to happen this year, and I had gotten asked to perform in a section of the Olympics with some two other roller skaters.
In Tokyo.
I feel like I can safely say that because that was a definite.
And that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, not this year, yeah. Which is crazy because I can't imagine postponing the Olympics and billions of dollars that goes into it. But of course they had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was supposed to be traveling all this year, and I had many opportunities, and I wasn't sure which one I was going to do. It was depending on which contract came first, and I was going to try to juggle as many as I could. Either it being the tour with the major artists, or also doing the Olympics, or also a reality show I got asked to be on. But that I definitely cannot say because I signed an NDA.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, I was already traveling to other cities and states, teaching workshops and performing at local roller discos in cities. So yeah, I travel quite a bit. I get asked to go teach workshops here and there, performing. What I really want to do is perform with artists on stage because I love performing. I love dancing. I love choreographing. I love skating. But the whole essence of all that is performing. Something about it, just being on stage, doing what I love, engaging with the crowd is something I am just so passionate about. So I was super excited about putting all my stuff in storage and just living out of a suitcase. And right now, because of the quarantine, one of my skate mentor, my skate coach, who is Dee, that we talked about earlier, previous before this phone call, I'm actually staying at his guest bedroom right now. And I was going to go to the Olympics with him and a few others. That was like a show that he was producing. But yeah, I'm staying in his guest bedroom for now until the quarantine is over and hopefully tours pick back up. And I pack up my suitcase and I'm off to Madrid, Spain.
That's incredible. What are you expecting? When you travel, obviously you need to carry your skates. How much extra equipment do you bring? Different sets of wheels? Do you bring extra bearings, all your tools? What do you bring?
Yes. If I have a good set of bearings in both of my wheels, I don't worry about bringing that, but I do bring my Y3, my skate tool, and then I tend to bring at least 2 pair of wheels, a soft set and a harder set, depending on whatever surface I'm skating on. Because I've done so many shows where the one show I did in Vegas, it was slippery metal with big ridges in it. So it's dear Lord, I'm sliding. So we had to cut a lot of our stunts where I spin this girl upside down and she walks her ankles behind my head. Wow. So we were going to do that stunt, but we had to cut it out because the floor was so slick. So thankfully, I had brought my really soft gummy wheels that had enough traction to kind of grip a little bit. But yeah, I've had to skate on carpet. I've had to skate on the most craziest surfaces. The carpet one was such a challenge, but I had to put my really hard wheels in so that I could get push off and roll a little more. But I had to fake a lot of it because I wasn't rolling at all.
Well, and thankfully you're good enough to make it look effortless, probably.
I try. Yeah, that's where the performance side comes in, most definitely. I have been asked, I don't know what's up with clients sometimes. They'll be like, hey, you can skate on this, right? I'm like, no, that's gravel. Or the weirdest surfaces. I'm like, no, I'm on wheels, right? There's no way I can skate on that. It's wet or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I do bring at least 2 backup wheels, my tool, and
if
I'm traveling a lot, it gets heavy.
We learned that lesson. Wendy and I took our skates down to San Diego and we were going to skate by the beach and all that. And this guy's on the bike, and we're looking at the bike path, and we're like, I got it. It looks kind of sketchy. So this guy, and we go, hey, is it pretty smooth and all that? He goes, oh yeah, you guys will be fine on those. We start now. This is he riding on a bike versus being on roller skates. Totally different experience.
Yeah,
as far as gravel, rocks.
Can't compare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Out of all the places you've been to so far, what's been the most exciting place and why?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. The most exciting place is probably going to be the least that you expect. It was a very, very small town with a population of maybe 5,000 in a small city in upstate New York.
Oh, wow.
And I know, right? You would expect me to say like Dubai or Beijing or I don't know, somewhere crazy big or Tokyo. But no, this was a small town called Jamestown, New York. I think the population's 5,000. It could be 10,000. I don't know. But very, very small town. But I had so much fun there. I was teaching a workshop and had all these girls, like 20 girls come to it. And we had so much fun. It was a 4-hour workshop. And these girls went from like not knowing crazy legs or downtown to like mastering it. And that I love seeing is progression. Because for me, I love seeing progression in myself. If I start learning something, I have to see it to completion. So when I have my students that I teach and I see them working hard and I see them like accomplishing so much at once, that really fulfills my heart. And it's the best feeling. And on top of that, it was the small town. The people were so quaint, so friendly, so humble, so genuine. And it just felt amazing. And then like we skated around the whole city, like bombing huge hills. That's one of my favorite things to do is just skating in the middle of the street. I know that's like super dangerous, but ever since seeing Mighty Ducks as a kid, I always loved to go mighty ducking in the street.
That's pretty awesome,
like my
though.
adrenaline rush. Yeah. So that was the funnest. And there was a huge indoor skate park where I learned how to drop in some bowls and really get to practice a lot. So yeah, small town, Jamestown, New York has been, I would say, the funnest travel experience I've had. I mean, I've been to Vegas numerous times and other cities and states and countries. I've been to Mexico City. Oh, Mexico City was crazy. Oh, I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about how crazy it was. But it had some of the richest people of Mexico and even LA there. The security was airtight.
Yeah.
And there was just bags of cocaine everywhere. I was pretty sure that everybody there was like a high up in the cartel. Am I allowed to say that? But it was a glamorous party.
I'm sure it's good for my ratings, but I don't know how it's going to do for you.
It's okay. But yeah, Casey and the Sunshine Band and Cool and the Gang, and we performed with them, and that was a highlight for sure. Except we were in Mexico City for like a day and a half, so hardly got any sleep. We didn't get to do much sightseeing or traveling. It's like we literally got down there, slept for 3 hours, went to tech rehearsal, slept for 5 hours, got up, performed, slept 5 hours, and flew back. So that's kind of the unfortunate is that when I do travel, it's like you go, you perform, you go back home. So I'm kind of like, oh, God, I wish they would just give us at least one extra day.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you because, you know, with my job, I used to just do that. I used to look at traveling as kind of a burden. Like, if I was going to Louisville, Kentucky, I'd fly in Thursday night. I'd work all day Friday, go to the company dinner Friday night, work most of the day Saturday, and then fly home Saturday night.
Ooh, yeah,
But then
hard.
I would get home and people go, "Oh, did you go to the museum? Did you go to Churchill Downs? Did you go to the Muhammad Ali Museum?" Or I'm like, "No, I didn't even know that stuff was there." So I started booking in an extra half a day for me to just travel and look around because I hated it. It's like people are like, "Oh, you should have gone here or you should have done this." I'm like, shit. So.
I know. I did that last time I went to Tennessee. I was like talking to the lady that was booking my flights, and I asked her, I was like, "Hey, is it okay if I fly back 3 days later? Like, don't worry, I have a place to stay. You don't have to pay for my hotel.
Yeah.
If you don't mind booking my flight a little later, because I don't want to like be jet lagged and just go and then fly back. Like, I want to have like a mini vacation if I'm going to be traveling. You know, why not?"
Well, the other thing I was going to ask you, because for me, it's a big deal. You know, when I go to work, I have to be on point, but I'm not physically asked to be on point. Whereas you, I mean, if you're jet lagged, it can affect your performance.
Oh yeah.
If you're a little stiff in the leg or knee, or you had a rough flight or an uncomfortable hotel room, you got to wake up the next day and act like you're perfect.
Exactly, and you're on wheels, so it's not like you're just dancing on feet. Like, it's so different than just being a dancer, like a backup dancer. your equilibrium has to be spot on. And that's a real thing too. Like if you're like feeling wonky and there's days where I feel like my equilibrium is off and I'm just not feeling balanced, that's not a good time to roll on wheels because you got to have your spins locked down and everything. And especially, like, you can't have like, sometimes my hips, I have troubles with my IT band and that really affects my skating and it limits my moves sometimes. So I have to like fully stretch, like a good, hearty hour stretch before performances and get plenty of sleep too because like you have to be on alert when you're on wheels.
Yeah.
And that just, and also like your physical appearance, like,
and then by the way, you have to look
that's
pretty.
A big thing too. Yeah. Like, so I always have to like stay in shape. Like there's two shows I've done in Vegas and I had to wear this really tight leotard and I'm like, whoa, I'm kind of bloated right now. I've been eating snacks. So it's like, not trying to make it sound shallow or anything, but just being a performing artist, it's like, the way I look does enhance how many jobs I book. So I have to always kind of stay on point, eat healthy, be mentally healthy, physically healthy, and also look healthy. So yeah, it's a lot. So I'm drinking a beer right now talking to you. I can't drink beers that often because I get a gut.
I knew there was a reason why
you know what?
I knew there was a reason why you wanted to be on the podcast.
Right.
Something you can do while you're drinking a beer.
Yes, exactly. Cheers.
Cheers, exactly. Do you pack up your skate equipment in a separate bag or do you throw it all together? I mean, how do you do that? Because, the wheels get dirty. You got bearing grease and all that.
That's true. So it depends. Some of the really fancy goods I do, I have like a tiny little additional carry-on. It's a little suitcase, and I put my skates in there, and I pull it like a little additional suitcase, so that way I look professional, so that way I'm not just throwing them over my shoulder on a leash. Because some jobs don't like that. Like I have to arrive at some jobs like in a black cocktail dress or like black work pants and look, professional and some heels and roll up with my little carry-on. But then I've had other jobs where, I don't have to roll up a certain way. Like I'm not being picked up from the airport or anything. And I can just like throw my wheels over my shoulder. But of course I don't want my skates to get dirty, my wheels to get dirty. So I might just like wrap them in a plastic bag and shove them in my suitcase. But because wheels are dirty and I don't want them to get on my clothes or anything. But I have different levels of like appearances for whoever the client is, wherever I'm going. If I'm just going to teach in like Jamestown, New York, or if I'm going to perform for Studio 54 in Mexico City. So.
Well, and then I don't know how rough it was, but I know like Mexico City's up 1.5 miles, so the air's thinner. Did you? Oh. With your. Oh yeah. Were you expecting the thinner air? Did you know that before you went there? And how bad did it affect you?
No, I had no idea. You're telling me this now. Why did I not know this? It's crazy. I didn't feel any difference. No, not at all. The only thing that I experienced in Mexico City is that it is massive. And it took like 2.5 hours to get from one end of the city to the other. But I didn't experience anything with the air.
Because you're actually higher than Denver. And
really?
I talked to MMA fighters, and they want to go a week at the minimum before a fight. And some go a month before the fight to acclimate their lungs to being up there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I guess I didn't pay enough attention to that.
Oh,
That's interesting. Wow. Can't believe I didn't notice. Maybe my lungs are doing pretty well right now.
Well, that's a good thing.
Right.
Well, you're a young pup too. Mm-hmm. Out of the tours and all that, are you basically just on a hold pattern with your agent and everything else that's going on?
Yeah, I'm on hold with everyone and everything.
Yeah.
I'm still getting self-tape auditions from my talent manager. I have a talent manager and a talent agent. So I'm doing self-tape auditions in the meantime. There's a movie I'm auditioning for right now that the lead role and the co-star have to be proficient roller skaters. So I'm doing some self-tapes for that right now where it's, acting and also my roller skate reel. And so that's pretty fun. It shoots in August if I do book it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Right now, it's kind of like just throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Because right now, I don't know if I'm going to go on tour with the artist, or if the reality show is going to pick me up, or if I do this movie, or whatever else comes thrown my way. I don't know. So right now, I don't want to miss out on an opportunity. So, of course, I'm in contact with all of them, and putting myself out there and staying in touch for whenever quarantine does over. It's more like, who can book me first, and which one sounds the most fun and also pays really well and more promising. So like whoever like can lock me down first, it's kind of like that. I'm just kind of like I said, throwing spaghetti at a wall, and whatever sticks. But out of all of them, I would like to do the movie. I think that would
do the what?
But to do the movie.
Yeah.
But I also really would like to go on tour with this major artist. So I'm hoping the artist comes first. If not, then maybe the movie. Yeah.
The one thing I would tell you, and I know very, very, very little about the entertainment industry, but what I do know is I think you have the right mentality for it, because I think a lot of people come here and go, well, I'm going to do this, versus you. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've really, whether it's editing, whether it's working with the kids, whether it's teaching dance, whether it's teaching some roller skating, whether it's a private lesson, whether it's a group lesson, whether it's the LA Roller Girls. I mean, I think you almost have to, or just be a good Uber driver. Mm-hmm. I mean.
Yeah, it's true. It's like you got to be flexible. You got to know, like, in a more general aspect, like what you want. For instance, if you're an actor and you're going to be like, I love acting, then that's perfect. But if it's like, I want to be a star on a TV show, it's like, why do you want to be a star on a TV show? You have to ask yourself that. Because if it's like, if your answer is really like, I love acting, then if you really genuinely love acting, then you would be very content with almost any acting job that comes your way because you love acting. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Specifically, someone being like, I want to be a lead in a action-packed movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's so specific, and you have to ask them, why do you want to be a lead in an action-packed movie? It's like their intentions are different. And because I love roller skating so much, that almost any roller skating job that comes my way, I'm happy and I'm content. Because I love it more. So I think wherever your passion lies is tells all. Because if you're very passionate about something, you're going to find yourself doing it a lot. And you're going to find yourself practicing more. And you're going to find yourself making a lot of friends who also have that same passion.
Exactly.
But if your passion isn't that great enough, then the fruits show. Like, if you're not that crazy about roller skating, you're obviously not going to be doing it very often. It just shows. So it's like, if you really love what you do, anything that comes your way, even if it's like you're just doing it recreationally, it's because you love it. And what I see with a lot of people, just in general, not in the skating world, but just in general, is that a lot of people don't know what they're passionate about, and they don't know what they're motivated about. And that's okay, because I've been there. I have totally been there, where I felt like I was apathetic towards life. Like, I've been depressed and everything. I just I don't know what I want to do, and that is so more normal than we know. And it's kind of sad, but I also understand, because I feel like we all go through that at some point in our life. But if we don't get so fixated on one thing, and we kind of more generalize what we're passionate about, I feel like we find more happiness there. Kind of like what you were saying, I'm more content because I'm open to all the different possibilities that fall under this umbrella, than kind of just making one thing stick.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, when you have a good attitude, I think, especially with what you do, which is auditions, and you're literally putting out, a dozen different things, and who knows what's going to stick. That's
right. I never know. Yeah.
But here you go.
Yeah, here I go. And I love it. I love it, everything I've done.
What's the longer picture for you? Meaning in 5 years, what do you see doing? Same
right?
thing, different thing?
I finally realized what I really want to do, and that's also a really hard thing for people to answer. But I've kind of narrowed it down as of recently. So thanks for asking. For one, I want to travel. I want to travel. I want to live out of a suitcase for like a good while and just perform on large stages. That's what I really want. Then I also want my pet project called Dancegate, speaking of my editing, that I produce, post, and edit. I'm a YouTuber, so I have a show called Dancegate, which is everything I do. I dance and I skate, so I put my two worlds together and call it Dancegate.
And you interview
Features,
skaters.
Yeah. And I interview skaters, and I have skaters do tutorials. I'm a little behind on my episodes right now. I got episode 5 I need to put up here soon. But I would love for my Dancegate.
I love the fact you brought that up, Morgan.
Yeah.
only a perfectionist would say, and I'm behind a little bit. Because no one, if you don't say that, Morgan, no one would know.
Oh, I mean, that's true. But, I don't want to know something. But yeah, I would love for Dancegate to become a real TV show. I would love Dancegate to get picked up by a network, and I become the executive producer and host of a televised show of Dancegate. I want my show to get picked up by huge producers where I get to be the executive producer and I get to host it and feature so many amazing dance skaters and show choreography and snippets and interviews and tutorials of roller skaters. And I want this on TV. I want this on Hulu, Netflix, you name it. That is my ultimate goal.
Let me ask you this question. No, because a lot of people ask me similar questions about my podcast. Like, what do you want to do with it? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, Wendy thought I'd get about 10 episodes in and quit. And, just because who are you going to talk to after? And all of a sudden people are like responding. You are my 99th episode.
No way. Is it really?
Yep.
That's amazing.
So.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm number 99. That's amazing.
I couldn't make
so much.
I couldn't make you 100. 100 is going to be
okay.
100 is going to be Wendy.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. So. Congratulations.
That's kind of cool. Getting up to.
Yeah.
That's for me. The only good thing about the quarantine is the people I've been trying to reach for sometimes over a year are now available. Because they're not touring, they're not traveling, they're not doing things.
Exactly.
So it's good and bad.
Yeah. That's awesome that, like, where you're at now, you've done so much labor. It's like people will come to you and you don't have to go knocking on doors,
It's so weird. There's a guy, I asked him over a year ago and he said yes to the show. He's a Grammy Award-winning musician. And he said, yeah, sounds great. And then he went on tour. Well, he tours about 250 days a year. So,
wow.
That's been the most amazing thing, meeting like you. I mean, if you would go back 5 years, or how long have you been in LA? 5 years, 6 years?
A little over 5.
Okay. If you went back 6 years ago to the Morgan of 6 years ago and said, guess what? You're going to be a professional roller skater going to the Olympics and doing movies and commercials for roller skating. Would you have believed yourself?
No. Oh my God, I would have done cartwheels if I knew that.
Exactly.
But no, I would have not believed it. It's been so weird. I'd be like, wait, what? How? Like,
I'm doing what?
What is a professional roller skater? Like, what is that? And I get that all the time. Like, people are like, I don't get it. What is that? And I understand. I would be the same way. I'd be like, what is that? Is this like Roller Girl from Boogie Nights? No.
Not exactly.
Not exactly. But
if it pays well.
Yeah. Well, right. But I couldn't have believed it. That would have been far fetched.
Yeah, and I think that's I think that's the cool thing about being in the creative field. There's obviously some negatives, paycheck, income, unsteady income, but I think the cool part is, who knows? Maybe something sticks, and all of a sudden you're a rock star. Yeah,
it's pretty awesome, especially when I can just do this full time. It's like especially when I have to tell people that, I feel like I have to really break down what I do because so many people don't know. And I'm just like, oh, like film, TV commercials. That's my quickest snippet. And they're like, but like what? Like, how is there? They're like, how is there that much work for you? And I'd be like, well, you'll be pretty surprised. Almost every TV show has had like at least one episode featuring some roller skaters. I've been in You're the Worst. I've been in Heathers. I've been American Woman. I've been in, I'm forgetting, No Good Nick. Think. I've been in several movies. But yeah, it's hard to think of all of them right now. I have my resume online.
Is the weird thing for you?
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, like, Dee is like a rock star in the skate world.
Yeah,
when I went to the skate circle and just saw him skating, I was like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean?
He's an entertainer for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that a lot of people don't know that about him because, social media and just media in general wasn't nearly a thing then. So it's like, now that I know him and he's been like my skate mentor for years and I'm all over social media, I'm like, I'm going to tell the world who you are.
Yeah.
They need to know. The funny thing about Dee actually is that here I am skating every weekend in Venice Beach with all these like skate legends. And I've been skating with them for about 2 years now. And we go out to eat. We go to Sidewalk Cafe, which is like our notorious little spot where we get food after skating on the weekends. And they're like, so Morgan, what brought you to LA? And I'm like, well, I came here for dance and to be a backup dancer. I want to dance for Janet Jackson and to be a choreographer. So that's what I've been doing. But, I only do it so often. And it's like, however, I always wanted to come out here and skate by the beach. There was a Diet Coke commercial that aired years ago that was people skating and dancing by the beach, drinking Diet Coke, and they're singing, oh my, starry surprise. And that's the song, dance all night, gonna dance all night to this DJ. So I'm telling all of them about like this Diet Coke commercial that I saw when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, man, when those people dance by the beach, I was like, that's why I had to come out by the beach on my rollerblades at the time to skate. And then Dee, he looked at me and he said, that's me. I was like, what? He's like, that's me. And I was like, wait, that's you doing the pendulum kicks and you throw the girl underneath your legs? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, this is wild. You can't believe it. I was like, wow. Wow. It was like, of course, it's in Los Angeles, the capital of the entertainment industry of the world.
Yeah.
So, of course, that made sense. But it's just like, like here I am, like skating with the people that I didn't know who were like when I was a kid, but yet they have paid my interest in skating and living out here in LA and living by the beach. And here I am skating with them now. Crazy.
Yeah. That's an awesome story, actually. Who would you be most excited to work with in the future?
Well, Janet Jackson has always been my biggest, like, oh my God. I grew up with all her tape cassettes. I would dance in my dining room. That's how like my mom actually put me into dance classes when I was little because she had tape cassettes of Janet Jackson and like Whitney Houston, like the Bodyguard soundtrack. And I would dance to Janet and Whitney in the dining room as a little kid. And my mom saw how much I loved dancing. And the same thing with roller skating. I am dancing on skates. I'm still dancing.
Oh,
it's just adding another element where like, ooh, I cannot just dance on my feet, but I can roll. So that's what makes it more exciting. And so yeah, Janet Jackson. If I could dance for Janet, I would probably die. I would probably pass out from the phone call. And then I would be on stage and I would probably pass out on stage. And then that would be the end of it.
And I'm done.
But I would say Janet. There's so many people I would love to, but
Janet's the big one.
Yeah,
because you're looking at doing a movie, you're looking at reality shows. You got your YouTube page going, you got social media going. Mm-hmm. You got a lot going on. What are you most excited about? Is it the touring or is it just the potentials?
I think it's the touring because I've asked myself the same questions, and I try to like map out my life, like how you asked me, like where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And I think about that. I really do, So when I think about what makes me the most happy and the most excited, when I think about all the potential, it really comes down to just performing. I love teaching. I love producing my YouTube channels and editing. And I love hosting. But what I really love is performing more than anything. So what excites me the most just from the thought of it is just being on stage in front of a huge audience. Like if I could have danced for Michael Jackson back in the day, that would have been like amazing. But there's so many people. I mean, I obviously would like to like the music and like the choreographer. The choreographer for the artist I potentially might be performing for later this year is one of my idols. I mean, I would love because her choreography is so groovy and so good. Yeah, definitely performing first and foremost. But I also love hosting, and I would love like if Dancegate becomes picked up by a network. I mean, this is kind of reaching far out there, but if it became picked up by a show, say in the future, I would love to be the executive producer where I didn't just do the editing anymore, but I have like, overall control over it. I know the editing is very time consuming. You know that.
Yeah. That's why I laugh so
loud. I'd love to host it and choreograph. I love creating. I love performing. I love hosting. But performing does come number one to all of that.
So I know this isn't necessarily an issue right now in your life, but how do you feel about fitting in relationships? Because I know as some of that travels, like if you are deep into a relationship and all of a sudden you go, hey, I'm going on the road and then I'm going to Tokyo and then I'm going to go to Europe and then I've got this movie, how do you fit all that in? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm single. I'm intentionally, mentally preparing myself to be single.
Yeah.
I was in a series about a year and a half ago, and I started traveling and performing in other cities, and just being gone for a few days was kind of hard. And I started asking myself, I was like, God, what if I book a big tour? And I mean, we would practically like be broken up, unless we were married and we came back to each other. But when you're gone from somebody for like months to like a year, it's like, it is like a divorce. It is like, because you're not with them for so long. So I have thought about that because, in my last year's relationship, I was getting offered, to travel for longer periods of time, and I was like, would I deny that? Would I deny that for the relationship? And then I tell myself, I was like, but Morgan, you moved out here for this, and if you're with the right person, they will understand, and y'all will find a way to make it work. Like if you really love someone, I totally believe you would find a way to make it work. And if neither of them or if one of them is not willing to make it work, does that mean that the love isn't great enough? I totally believe that. Unless you both love each other so much, but you both want to do your own thing and you both decide to let each other go, that's different. But if you really want someone in your life, I feel like there's a way to make it work. But for me specifically, I'm mentally preparing myself to not get into one, and I'm to be single. I mean, I'm dating.
Get ready. That's when it happens, Morgan.
Dating. Yeah, I know. So I'm trying to like put on like a mental block from catching feelings for anyone, because I don't want that to stop me, because I feel like I'm really in the prime of my career and I want to experience all this before I do settle down. And, because I do want to get married. I want to have a family. But right now, since I'm in my prime and my career is peaking right now, I really want to be able to focus on this first, and then, find someone and get married and settle down and have a family.
Gotcha. One other question I like asking my business travelers: when you're traveling, and now I'm curious to see how you answer this, because I got an idea. When you travel, what are you doing? Are you listening to music? Are you shutting it off? Are you watching movies? Are you editing? Are you doing work stuff? How do you feel in that time?
When I'm on an airplane?
Yeah. Like if you're going back to Tennessee and you got all these things going on in your head, what do you do? Do you shut it off, or do you?
You want to know?
Yeah.
I have a specific thing I do every time.
Okay.
I meditate. And I have meditation music on my phone. I forget what it's called. It's that kind of meditation that walks you through it. And I listen to this lady called Kelly Howe, and I've been listening to her meditations for years now. And you put on headphones, and it has binaural beats. I don't know if I said that right. Binaural beats in the background, and she like walks you through like a story. And this story is kind of like an analogy in a way, like a metaphor. And you like go into like this deep state of meditation, and it could be like abundance of wealth or like achieving your highest destiny and stuff like that. And so anytime I travel, I listen to Kelly Howe meditations on my phone. And that's the most time I ever meditate. I try to like get into meditation more just like at home for like, peace of mind. But honestly, the most time I ever meditate is when I'm on airplanes.
And that is a perfect segue, because the episode that's going to air right before yours is with a person who came up with a meditation band.
Wow.
That, and she recommends it, and the way she kind of pushes it is for when you're traveling.
Wow, what a great segue.
I'm like, wow, is she really saying this? Yeah, because I just talked to her, and we were talking about what you just said was exactly what she said. And she's been doing this for 15 years, 20 years. So,
yeah.
But she has a little headband thing, and it measures your brain waves. And so, so what happens is, because you don't know if you're getting into that zone of not thinking. And so this thing actually measures your brain waves and tells you when you're there or when you're going off.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So you're the second person, and it happens to be the second person in a row that meditates when they travel.
Wow.
Just kind of bizarre.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
That just means you're leading edge.
Oh, thank you.
You're out there. Hey, so what's the best way for my listeners to stay in touch with you and find out what you got going on?
Oh, yeah. Great question. I'll give you a great answer.
Wow. That's up to you.
Right. I would say I have a few different platforms. I have a website, but my website is more so for like casting directors and stuff, because it has like my online resume and like photo gallery and stuff like that. But most people, I direct them to my YouTube page and also my Instagram page. And I also do have a Facebook page and a Twitter. But YouTube and Instagram, YouTube is youtube.com/Morgan Weske. It's my first and last name together. And my Instagram is instagram.com/Morgan Weske. Honestly, all of my social media handles are going to be Morgan Weske, one word. So yeah, Instagram and YouTube are my two largest social media platforms. So I would tell people to go there.
But any directors or choreographers or anybody needing, you can go to
go to my website.
morganweske.com.
morganweske.com. Yeah, that's my website. I do need to update it, but it has my updated resume, so that way casting directors and whatnot can see like what all I've done.
Well, you got your I think
photo gallery.
And I don't know how that works. I mean, obviously I'm not a casting director or anywhere near that. But I mean, you have your choreography reels, you've got your stunt acting, you've got your acting, your dance, you've got all your roller skating, all the different things that you do is right there. And I think that's actually really good for people who are contemplating coming out.
You're right. Maybe I should just tell everyone to go to my website.
Well, I mean,
morganweske.com.
Your content's so good. I think you're going to get your subscribers up, and you'll all that. But I think I don't know. I'm always looking to coach or teach, and I think if anybody's listening to the show and as for a career and goes, I've always wanted to do this or that or be real specific. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you're doing it the right way.
Oh, well, thank you. It's such an amazing compliment. I love your show, and I love what you're doing, and thank you for asking me all these questions. They're really thought-provoking, and it's kind of awesome to say all this stuff out loud, because like we think about these things all the time, but when you actually have to vocalize it and say it, it makes it seem more real than it really is, and you're like, wow, this really is how I think, and this is really what I want. So I feel like I learned more about myself today just from answering all your questions. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you something. It's interesting because I have my first guest was a 2-time world champ steer wrestler. He's a professional cowboy, and I've known him for almost a decade. But I'm like, Hunter, you're a 2-time world champ at like a real sport, I mean. And he goes, yeah, but he goes, everybody I'm around does what I do, and there's other world champs that I mean, they're all my friends and all that, so it's not a big deal. And I'm like, and then like I've had podcasters call me and ask me like, how did you get Steve Stevens or how did you get Morgan Weske on your show and all that? And I'm like, I don't know, I just ask because it's just what I do. And like for you, you're very humble about what you do. But
thank you.
When I watch what you do, I'm like, oh man, I can't do that. I can't even joke about saying I could do that. So you got a lot going on.
Yeah, you're right. It never hurts to ask. I've had a lot of people ask me too, like, well, how did you get an agent or how did you get set up with this entertainment company? Da da da. I was like, just ask. And they're like, but how? I was like, you just ask, and you either get a yes or a no. Like some of my sponsorships, I've been sponsored by a couple different skate brands, 3 of them now, and a boombox company. Yep. And how I got most of them was just from asking. That's it. Just like you're doing.
But let me ask you this question. I'm kind of stepping back, but especially on social media, were you very specific about who you went after, or did you ask 100 companies and 2 said yes? Or were you very specific?
No. I was very specific.
Okay.
And usually I always get it. So for one, I first I got sponsored by SureGrip, and how I tactfully went about that is because they were posting all of my videos.
Yeah.
So they're like reposting, like way before Moxie came along, there was SureGrip, and they were reposting all of my videos, all of my photos, and my following started growing because of SureGrip. So they started posting all of my stuff, and then I booked a movie, and I was like, man, I wish I had some new pretty skates for this movie. And I was like, you know what? Let me hit up SureGrip. They've been reposting all of my stuff. Wow. And so I DM'd them, and I was like, and you have to word it in a way that's where you don't sound demanding or pretentious, but just kind of like humbly, like it's something where there's a win-win, like a cross-trade thing. So I asked them, I was like, hey, do you guys ever like give out flow for a cross-trade? I'm about to be in a movie, and I would love to wear your glamorous, shiny, sparkly skates. And they're like, yeah, what size are you? And then
exactly.
Boom. Yeah. And then with the Boombox Company, I was producing a lot of content for them back in 2016 with my friends, making some really like amazing visual like commercials. And I was told that I was going to get one. I think 2 years go by, never got one. And then I just directly reached out to them. I was like, hey, it's Morgan here. Remember me? I did all those commercials for you back in 2016. I was just wondering about if I was going to still get that bump box or not. And if there's any chance, smiley face, smiley face. And they're like, oh yeah, most definitely. And then they asked for my address and shipped me one. And then I started producing even more content for them, like giving them like free commercials basically. And then they sent me another one. So now I got 2. And
now you're just bragging.
Yeah, now I'm just bragging. I'm going to stop right there. Thanks again, Pete. I'm super excited for your show, and I'll text you a photo here shortly.
Whenever you get time.
Okay.
Thanks, Morgan. Appreciate it.